Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the May meeting of the Town of Poughkeepsie Zoning Board of Appeals. Would you please rise for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening. For the record, one of our regular members is absent, and so Phyllis Capone, one of the alternates, will be a voting member in tonight's meeting. Our meeting is divided in two halves. During the first half, we hold public hearings. We'll consider each application in the order in which they're listed on the agenda, and there should be copies of the agenda in that little tray next to our council. During the public hearing, we'll ask each applicant to come forward and to be sworn in. All testimony before the ZBA must be sworn testimony. At that point, we'll ask the applicant to give a very brief description of what their application is about, and then members of the board will have opportunities to ask questions to gather further information, to clarify things, and so on. Once the board has finished asking their questions, the floor will be open to anyone from the public that wishes to address that application. But they must also be sworn in, and they must address that application only. Once we've finished with the public hearings, we'll go back to the top of the agenda for the deliberation phase. And during this part of the meeting, there's no further public input, though you're certainly welcome to stay and listen to the deliberations. All right. Let's turn to the agenda, and item number one, McDonald's at 3460 North Road. I believe there's a representative here.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening, and if you just state your name into the microphone and to be sworn in.
Good evening, and again, Alan Roscoe from Core States Group.
Mr. Roscoe, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be advised that you are under oath, and any false statements made by you are subject to perjury pursuant to the laws of the state of New York.
Okay, good evening. And
Good evening, folks.
Last time we had a long, I think fairly detailed discussion, so we don't need to repeat all of that, but I notice you've got some visuals, so maybe you could just kind of give us the,
Sure.
the quick version here.
Yes, just wanted to quickly summarize. I know that we had a pretty lengthy discussion last time, but I did want to take an opportunity to do a quick summary, especially in light of the new information that we received last week, which I'm sure we'll be discussing. There was some feedback from the county that I understand that you may or may not consider or take to heart. So just in the way of summarizing, I just wanted to discuss that I thought we went fairly detailed last time, item by item, and in a very broad sense, we're really just asking for replacement of signage to either replace or enhance the site. So in other words, there's a clearance bar that we're replacing part of this new program.
Okay. Forgive me for interrupting,
Sure.
but I think maybe it will be clear if I read the county's letter into the record. I have to do that at some point. So let's do that now, and then we can
Certainly.
talk about those issues. So this is a letter dated May 4th, 2017 to the ZBA Town of Poughkeepsie. The Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the subject referral within the framework of general municipal law. Action. The applicant is seeking area variances to permit 2 additional wall signs of 37 square feet on the east/rear of the building and 34 square feet of signage on the north side of the building. In addition, the applicant is asking for multiple variances related to directional signage in terms of allowable area and height. 2 order here gateway signs, 1 drive-through gateway sign, and 2 reserved parking signs, each of which require variances for both height and area, and 2 welcome signs, which exceed the permitted area but are compliant as to height. Comments. There is an excessive amount of signage proposed for this site, and several variances were previously granted for this existing business. As the board is aware, New York State directs that only the minimum amount of variance necessary to be granted in instances where relief has merit and where the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the community. Directional signs. The 4 welcome signs at the 2 driveway locations are duplicative and contain non-directional information. We note that this is the only establishment in the plaza that maintains such signage. The size of the signs could be scaled down to size to fit, in size to fit within the town's allowable square footage for directional signs, 3 square feet. The 2 order here signs are unnecessary as customers will already be in the queue for the drive-through and will be anticipating their turn at the communication panel. They will likely not be looking up to determine that they are in the correct location to place their order. Wall sign. A new 20 square feet McDonald's wall sign is proposed to be combined with the M logo at the north facade. 2 signs on this facade is duplicative. The business has successfully used the M logo on all 4 of its facades for numerous years. We suggest that the 20 square foot McDonald's sign be removed. Recommendation. For the reasons stated above, the department recommends that the board deny the following requested variances: the size of the 4 welcome directional signs at the driveways, the dual order here signs, the 20 square foot McDonald's sign on the north side of the building. Voting and reporting requirements. If the board acts contrary to our recommendation, the law requires that it do so by a majority +1 of the full membership of the board, and that it notify us of the reasons for its decision by Janet Tessier, Junior Planner, Dutchess County Department of Planning. Okay, that's the county's response. Okay, so proceed.
Okay, thank you. So again, just in brief, we respect their part in this proceedings, and I really wish that they had a representative here for the discussion so that they could fully understand, what we're proposing here. Because really the relief boils down to the building mounted signs. Okay, the clearance bar, the menu board, the entrance signs that are posted on either side of both driveways, the reserve signs for the folks who order their food and are asked to park and have the food brought out to their vehicle. Those are all elements of the plan currently. They exist at the site. So as part of this MRP program, McDonald's has, again, invested time and energy and dollars to make signage clear. There's a lot of reductions and you don't see the 20-foot tall golden arches anymore. It's a lot more minimalist, goes along with the menu. So in that sense, what we're really just asking for is approval of the package that we've proposed, which is by and large a replacement of what is there at the site. If there's something that we can discuss in terms of mitigation or meeting in the middle, I think that the operator and ourselves would be happy to discuss that.
Okay. Before I open it up for questions, I just want to make clear on what is being requested here. So let's talk about the wall signs first.
Okay. Would you like me to put the rendering up? So
Yeah,
everybody can
please. And there should be a portable mic there that you can use.
Test. There we go.
Yeah, it takes a minute to kick in.
Just show it, all right?
Yep,
Okay.
okay.
I've got two drawings here. The long lengths of the building are shown here on this view. This is the non-drive-through side elevation of the building. This is the drive-through side. And we've got the McDonald's lettering proposed here and the golden arch here. It's pretty unobtrusive. I think it's 3 feet by 4 feet in size proposed.
Okay, so the top one would be facing west.
Correct.
Okay.
East, I think. Isn't the McDonald's on the bottom, that's the drive-through side?
What's on the backside?
That's the backside that
Right,
faces.
so when they're queued, this is the elevation that they're
Yeah,
against.
yeah, the
This-
top
this
one
is-
faces Route 9, the bottom one faces the plaza.
Oh.
Correct, yeah, this is
Okay.
the pay window and the pickup window here. Okay, and this is the east-facing side, if you will. And then these elevation views represent the front, so this is towards Route 9. And this is the rear that faces into the plaza.
No, the top one has to be
North.
facing north.
Well,
Is that a door or is that just a,
yes, that's a door there. Maybe I've got it mixed up now.
there's no door on
because-
the north side, is there?
Yeah.
Pardon?
There's no door on the north side, I don't believe.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually, if you're on foot, that's the one you go in.
Door is on the west and the east side, I think.
No, I'm almost positive. The one on top is the north side. And that's, yeah, facing the gas station, and there's
Oh, the vestibule.
an exit onto Route
Right.
9 right there.
Vestibule door, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you want two signs on that facade,
Correct.
the logo and then a McDonald's. Okay.
Right.
And then on the south facing, the bottom one, there's no sign.
Right, the rear, what we're calling the rear elevation has no signs.
Okay,
Presently, there is a golden arch on all four sides.
Right.
Of the existing restaurant.
right. And so the golden arch that's facing Route 9 presently is pretty big. And so that's going to be reduced.
Correct.
Okay. And so what we have are four separate signs on three facades that total 85 square feet.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Proposed, yes.
Yes, okay. And the point that I would make is that by right, you would be allowed a single wall sign of 100 square feet, but that would have to be on the facade
The
that
road
faces
facing
Route
side,
9.
correct.
Right. So in a sense, what you're proposing is to take that 100 square feet, actually, you're not going to even use all of it, split it up into smaller signs and place them on different facades.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, I just, as I think everybody is aware, the paperwork on this is a little confusing, and it took me a while to sort this out, and so I just want to make sure that we've got it. All right, then I guess the other thing that got raised by the county that I wanted clarification on, just what the proposal was, had to do with the drive-through signs, especially the ones that are overhead, and why we need those.
Okay, well, we need to protect the building, so the entrance gateway or the clearance bar needs to be set at a height so that if there's a larger vehicle, a 10 or a 12-foot high box truck that wants to get served, they're gonna hit the clearance bar before they hit the building. So that's really the reason for that.
Okay.
And because it needs to be that high, it already exceeds your height standards. But there is one in place now that we're replacing, and it's just, a modernization of the look. So it's really just replacing in kind with a similar piece of infrastructure.
Okay. Okay. All right, Christine, you have any questions?
No, no question.
Okay, Betty?
Tell me what you have variances for already, because you have 3 variances already for the 20 square foot on 3 sides?
No.
What do they have variances for?
They have one variance originally that permitted, I think, 80 square feet of signage on the building was, and I don't know that it denominated the sides of the sign, the sides of the building. Hold on, I have it.
Yeah, I think it's specified that there would be a sign on all 4.
Okay, originally granted, the request variance to allow 4 double-faced, the directional signs, a single-faced 43.11 square foot freestanding menu board, which is now not a problem, and 3 additional 20 square feet wall signs on the building, right, so yeah, you're right, it was a total of 80 square feet, 20 on each of the 4 sides, one of them permitted as of right.
Correct.
For
So
a
that was
total of
not
80 square
included
feet.
as part of the variance, although it's there.
Yeah, so the large sign on the west side was
It's allowed by
by
right.
right.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so what you really need now is the 3 variances for directional. You're right, I got very confused, but I'm under the assumption that what he needs right now are 3 variances for directional signs.
Well, our code enforcement officer interpreted the welcome sign and the 2 overhead enter here signs as directional signs. And so they need variances to height and because they're over 6 feet.
Right,
There
so
were
they're,
also issues as to the size of the reserved signs, and it doesn't sound as if the county had an objection to the reserved signs, since they don't mention those signs.
right.
And then there were also signs at the entranceways, and it's my understanding that if the logo is included, then they are oversized, but if the logo is not there and it just says enter, then they are not oversized and don't need
Be
variances.
directional then.
But the applicant wanted his preference would be the logo signs.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, all right.
No, I think I had my questions answered. I think, correct me if I'm way off the out of line here, but didn't you say you're going down by 11? Oh, there's only been 11 square foot increase in total?
Yes, in total, the increase is 11 square feet
Okay,
over the existing. But again, that's spread on 3 sides.
right, okay,
Or- Yeah.
thank you.
And one side, we don't need relief because we're well under.
Correct.
Correct, so.
Okay.
Okay,
I was
Phyllis?
trying to make it simple, but I guess we're not going to get
it's
there.
never simple.
So, in light of the county's objections, are there any signs that you can do without? I would assume you considered, right, because you knew about their
Yes, we
response to it, so.
Right, well, we've considered that, and in some cases, we don't have a choice, because sometimes the sign only comes in one size. They've got thousands of restaurants that they're doing all their procurement for, so they can only order a certain amount of stuff. So on the McDonald's, the lettering, and on the arches, we do have some leeway. I can tell you that right now, these are sort of middle-of-the-road items, so if there needed to be a reduction, we would certainly consider that. And we understand the need to, follow the guidelines that are set forth by the county. So, we would really like to have signage, at least on the proposed sides of the building that we've requested. If it's a matter of moving lettering to the roadside facing side to take advantage of what might be allowed by right and reduce a variance, then, we would consider that. But, it's important for where it faces the public, perhaps not where it faces into the mall. It's important to have, our signage documenting the brand.
Okay, let me ask another question. Driving by on Route 9, I found it very hard to see the building.
Because of the elevations, correct.
Yeah, and so my sense is that more people are going to see the east-facing sign than will ever see the west. Is that your sense as well?
I would agree, yeah. I would
Okay.
agree, yep.
Okay. And I did have one other question. Can you give me some idea of roughly what percentage of the business, now, I don't know, number of customers, revenue, whatever, comes through the drive-through as opposed to the walk-in? Do you have a sense of what that split is?
Yes, I do. It's roughly 70% business on the drive-through side
Okay,
area, this region.
okay,
And I'm sure that speaks well internationally, but
all right.
maybe Mr. Obsted can tell you.
That restaurant is about 68%.
Oh, okay, all right.
Hopefully I did not just perjure myself, but
No, I just a ballpark.
yes,
That's- Yeah,
it's approximately 70%
Okay.
drive-through business versus sit-down.
okay. Sorry, Phyllis, I didn't.
No, that's okay. And when you talk about east and west, just to clarify for me, the west is the side with the with the M, and then the east side is the lower elevation.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay. Tony, nothing. Carmen?
In general, it just seems like a lot of signs, and it could be even confusing, I think, for some people. The whole idea of the signs is to make it not confusing.
Correct.
And there's four double-faced directional signs.
There are 4 there now, and this is what they look like. Okay, and we're proposing this rendering here. There are 2 options. There are 2 options for the entry signage. One has the logo on it, and one does not. This one is a little bit smaller, but they both are predominantly the same size as what's there now. So I think you'll agree this is a more modern look, more minimalist look. So that's what is proposed to replace these. In the same position, they're roughly the same size and signage area.
Okay, the county is suggesting that those could be made to fit the 3 square foot requirement. Is that feasible?
Not quite 3 square feet, but I think they're 4.5. We could go to that size.
Okay.
We're proposing 6 feet, but without the logo, they're a little bit smaller.
Okay.
What are the sizes that those signs come in? 6 feet, 4.5, the entry
Yes.
signs?
There's approximately 3 different sizes for each. This one with the logo is 2 feet by 3 feet high,
Okay.
and this is a little bit smaller. You know, probably 4.5 square feet.
All right, Carmen, sorry we interrupted. Go ahead.
The existing ones are about 6 square feet.
Right.
And are there 4 of those?
Yes, there's one on entry and exit sides of each of the main driveways. So there's a total of 4 on the site right now. And there, just as a point of information, there are 2 reserved signs on the site now, and we're proposing just to replicate. In fact, they'll probably be the same exact signs that are there now.
Okay.
Could you tell us again, if you were going to eliminate any signs, which would you prefer?
Well, our first knee-jerk reaction would be, I think, probably to mix and match. So in other words, the road-facing side, where we would not necessarily need relief from this board, up to 100 square feet. We would probably choose something that fits, just to get the new brand on there. You know, Dave, I guess I would defer to you as to which would be your least favorite side, I guess, to put signage.
Can I comment or should I?
Yeah, you certainly come up, just state your name, be sworn in, and we're happy
This is
to.
David Opstead, he's the operator of the
Oh,
facility.
very good.
Yep, David Opstead, owner-operator of the McDonald's restaurant.
Mr. Ofsted, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please be advised that you are under oath, and any false statements made by you are subject to perjury pursuant to the laws of the state of New York.
Thank you, understood. In regards to the signs,
Yeah, somehow you're gonna have to speak into a mic. We have to
in
record.
regards to the signs, I don't know the variances and what is and is not allowed, but as the operator of the restaurant, I agree with whoever said it's very difficult to see the restaurant from Route 9. That's because of the elevation and the growth of the trees and the shrubbery. However, as a retailer, that side that faces Home Depot, candidly, my opinion is once you're in the plaza, you're going to know what we are. So there's less concern on my part about signage on the Home Depot side. Where we currently have the M, and it's just a single M facing the mobile, facing north, that used to be very valuable because as you came down south on Route 9, you could see it, but again, stuff has grown so much that you hardly see that either. I do believe the Route 9 facing side, the west side, is important. I don't know if eventually there may be some trimming of the shrubbery and the trees, but that faces Marist College, it faces Route 9. People who do travel Route 9 and happen to get a glance of it, there may be tourist people who are in the area who do not know we're there. So I think that side is important to me, much more important than the Home Depot side.
Okay, the county argues that the 2 order here signs are unnecessary.
When you've got cars arriving, 150 cars an hour, and we are now proposing the side-by-side, the 2 lanes, which only helps eliminate that traffic backup and improves throughput. Trust me, you need as much direction to the consumers, where to go, where to pull up to. I think is useful. I think it's useful. I think it helps with safety, and it just makes the flow of the traffic, and as I said, the throughput of cars, getting them on and off the lot, I think it's valuable.
Okay.
I'd also add, if I can, the dual-sided signs they reference on the entrance and exits. The reason they're dual-sided is you have traffic coming both ways. So you have the entrance and you have the exit. So I think because if it was one-way traffic, one side would be okay. But because you do have traffic on that inner road going both ways, I think having signage on both sides is beneficial and important also.
Okay. Carmen, did you have more? Or is anyone else on the board?
I have one question. The county, we could almost maybe take care of half the county's issues anyway. The 20 square foot on the north side, you said that you wouldn't mind deleting that one. That, well, the county has a problem with the north side one.
Oh, no,
No, the east
no, the north-facing side, which is the front of the building, facing the mobile.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the one that the county has a problem with, right?
Right.
We have one there now. We also have one on the back of the building, which we're giving up, and I'm less.
Oh, you want to give it up on the other side?
Well, the one on the back of the building, right now we have 4 on each side, and forgive me, but the back is facing, south-facing Applebee's. The west is facing Marist, east facing Home Depot.
Right.
That north-facing side, which is the front of the building, our entryway, and that branding wall which it goes on, if you see that wall, that darker, that's actually, in one of the restaurants we just did up in Saugerties, that's a tiled wall, dark wall with the golden arch on it, the yellow arch. It really stands out. It really jumps out. When I say jumps, it just looks very tasteful with the dark wall with the small gold arch. That would be facing mobile, and that I think is important because that is an entryway into the plaza. It's not the most used entryway, but we do have that entryway coming in between us and mobile, so people pulling into the plaza will look up and see that gold arch on the front. The back, facing Applebee's, if we give up that arch, I'm okay with that. I'm less concerned with that.
And the size of the directional signs, that's a problem that the county had, right?
Yep.
The size of them.
Right.
Can we bring them down to,
The cars pass underneath them, and that's why they're that height. They're
Which one are you talking
upside down U
size
shape.
of 4 welcome to?
No, these
Oh,
are the
those
entry signs.
Yeah, so if we
Yeah.
bring those down to the allowed size in the ordinance, then we,
Well, except that they said that the signs come in these different sizes. And so what we could do is to say we would allow the 4.5 square feet
Okay.
rather than the 6. Okay, which that sort of splits the difference. So that would
right.
help,
Help
you know,
satisfy that.
make the county feel a little better. Okay.
And I can, if I can add, if it would help, I have photos of the existing restaurant, just to refresh your memory, so you can see what's there now versus what's planned.
It looked pretty plain to me the other day.
Yeah. There's
Because
just
most of the signs
There's
are
one golden
gone.
arch on each side.
Yeah, okay.
So we're proposing to basically replace that, eliminate it on the rear, and then add the McDonald's lettering on 2 sides.
Okay. Anything else?
The side facing Home Depot, there's a golden arch there, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
currently.
And you're willing to let that one go?
No.
I think we have.
We have.
We have already, yes,
Okay,
right.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
this side
Yeah.
here. So
What they're proposing to put there is a 37 square foot sign that just says McDonald's.
Right.
So that's this elevation.
I agree, once you're in the plaza, signs on that side don't really make a difference.
Well, if there were nothing, you know, if there were no signs on that side, and you were, say, over at the Home Depot, you might very well wonder, you know, what's that building?
Oh, you've come in and there's signs on the north side.
You can come in the other way, though.
Yeah, but a lot of people come in from the south. I mean, I always do.
Oh, well, then you see the signs on the west side. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, if there are no more questions from the board, anyone in the audience wish to address the application of McDonald's on North Road? Okay, all right, if there's nothing else, is,
Just one more thing.
Oh, yes.
Just, you know, if there were one side that we were to give up, we would put or combine signage on the roadside facing of the building so that we would not need any variances. So if we gave up one of the variances, I think that might help the county go along.
Yeah, although the, the county doesn't have a problem with the east-facing side. I mean, their specific comment is about the north side.
Okay.
Okay.
But if that makes the road clearer for you folks, then.
Okay, thank
certainly
you.
we
I
consider
understand.
it. All right. And just, I know that we have, is this an alternate member that's sitting?
Yes.
Okay. Hate to ask this, but were you present at the first
I was
meeting?
here last month,
Yes, yeah, she attends every meeting and attends all of the
So
field
if someone is
trips.
sick, even if she's in the audience, she is considered a seated member?
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Well,
Thank you.
it's, we've always done this, and we just feel it's important that somebody that might potentially sit on the board be present and hear, all of the testimony.
Okay, so just for clarity, if there were to be a favorable vote this evening, what would the count have to be?
So it would be 5 in favor and
Out of
7.
7, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion to close the public
So
hearing?
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Recusals? Okay, thank you.
Thank you all very much, appreciate it.
Okay, item 2, St. Martin de Porres, 118 Cedar Valley Road. Again, this is a meeting that was adjourned, public hearing that was adjourned, so that we could receive input from the county. And so I guess I would ask both of you to identify yourselves, be sworn in, and then let me read the county letter, and then we'll turn it over to you. Okay?
Name is William Kennedy. I'm the business manager of St. Martin de Porres.
Todd Lanthier, GNS Signs.
Mr. Lanter, Mr. Kennedy, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please
do.
be advised that you are under oath, and any false statements made by you are subject to perjury pursuant to the laws of the state of New York.
Actually, I've received 2 communications, but I'll read the one from the county first. This is dated April 27th, 2017, to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development has reviewed the subject referral within the framework of general municipal law. Action. The applicant is seeking an area variance to allow an electronic message display, EMD, sign of 19 square feet in a residential district where EMD signs are specifically prohibited. Comments. The electric message display, EMD, signs are out of character in residential settings as observed by the town's specific prohibition of their use in residential districts. Although the applicant cites that residences are not in close proximity, there are several residential neighbors nearby that may be able to view the bright red LED lights, especially at night and/or in leaf-off conditions. Further, a precedent will be set that may result in additional applications for EMD signs for other institutions in residential neighborhoods. New York State directs that only the minimum amount of variance necessary be granted in instances where relief has merit and where the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the community. In this instance, the applicant has the ability to install a sign with changeable copy that is not an EMD. Recommendation. For reasons stated above, our department recommends that the board not grant the requested variance to allow an electronic message display sign. Voting and reporting requirements. If the board acts contrary to our recommendation, the law requires that it do so by a majority plus 1 of the full membership of the board, and that it notify us of the reasons for its decision by Jeanette Tessier, junior planner at the Dutchess County Planning Department. I got a second letter, and this arrived this afternoon in my email. It's dated May 8th, 2017, addressed to me. Subject, public comment, ZBA item, St. Martin de Porres. I ask that the following public comment be read into the record as part of the May 8th public hearing regarding the area variance requested by St. Martin de Porres, 118 Cedar Valley Road, grid number and so on. The requested area variance involves relief from section 210-123-1A, which prohibits electronic message display, EMD, signs in all residential districts. I am against the granting of this variance as it sets a precedent for allowing electronic messaging signs in a residential neighborhood. The church currently has an existing sign on the property they have been using and can continue to use. Denial of an electronic sign would not be unfair treatment particular to the church, as electronic signs are prohibited in all residential districts. Sincerely, Doreen Tignanelli, 29 Coburn Drive, Poughkeepsie. Okay, so those are the two comments. Oh, do you have that? Okay. Okay, so, gentlemen.
All right. I'd like to talk to about the proximity of the sign to residents and the brightness of the sign and things like that. And I have some stuff that I can hand out if I could.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we did some analyzing of the existing sign and the light output from it, and there's also some street lighting that's in the area as well. We analyzed that and measured it to the proposed sign, and I'd like to talk about that. So the proposed sign has a self-dimming from the factory that only allows the sign to I'm going to use nits because I was able to use nits for all three things that I wanted to talk about. So
Explain what a nit is. Measure of brightness.
yes, it's a measure of brightness. Sorry.
Okay.
So the nits, what the EMC or EMD, as they called it, does at night or throughout the day. As it gets darker, it self-dims itself down to max of 300 nits, which is 0.3 candelas over ambient light, okay? So, that being said, the brightness of the current sign, which obviously does not self-dim itself, is approximately 1,000 nits. So that sign, I believe, is on pretty much. I think
I'm
it's
not
on.
sure exactly when it shuts off. I know it's on till probably at least midnight. It may perhaps go through the night. I'm not real sure myself.
One of the reasons that the manufacturer has come up with its self-dimming is because townships and municipalities have required this. Plus, it doesn't. When a sign does not self-dim, it becomes hard to read anyway. But reason being, to meet the requirements of municipalities as well. So, one of the other things that we notice is that first of all, there is not a lot of residents around there currently, but there's 3 street lights, 250 watt metal halide lights that are on between the sign and the closest residence. There's 3 of those. Obviously, they're going all which ways of the street. And those have approximately 6,000 nits. So basically, the reason for bringing that up is that the sign currently is much brighter than the proposed sign. Also, that 300 nit max, and this is in the paperwork, is only current, 40% of that would be used because that would be the whole area. That's 300 nits. Only 40% of that would be used because an LED sign is letters against a field. So that means every pixel is not lit. Every pixel would have to be lit for it to be at the 300. Okay? So also, it's a amber LED. It's not red. And amber is less nits than red.
Okay, okay.
All right.
Now, also when we were talking last time, there was a request as far as when we could turn the light off. And I thought perhaps, I think I mentioned as early as 8 o'clock, that I misspoke. We could not turn it off until probably around midnight or so. The reason is that we do have events going on in the church. Sometimes we even have, like at Christmas times, a mass that starts at 10 o'clock at night. We have events going on in the school and so forth, but sometimes don't get out till 9 or after. So the bottom line is we would need it to be on till at least midnight and, perhaps stay on through the night and then goes off, it would light up the brighter as the things get brighter in the morning.
About the county's comments are, I think Doreen's comments about the sign. The sign was built, I think, in the 50s, and it's currently,
The sign is in bad shape and needs to be replaced.
One of the things too is the message center, for a church or a school or whatever it is, this is the way that people are communicating. The changeable copy signs, yes, they work, they do. They're pretty prohibitive in the wintertime. It makes it very difficult to even get a message out there.
Okay, Christine, any questions?
Yes, so for days where there are not late evening events, could it be turned off on those nights, or or is it on a timer and it always has to go off at the same time? Like you said,
It would be on a timer and so it, go off, as I said, about midnight would be.
Okay. That's all.
Betty?
No, I have no questions. I watched the meeting on YouTube.
Why you
You gotta get a life.
I know where you got
gotta
that
get a life.
clock from. You got it from the guy that came to the meeting and spoke.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you for watching. You've doubled our TV audience.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Art?
I have, a question. All the extra signage you have tacked to your signboard now, it's pretty heavily populated with,
Well,
Many
that's
different
one
signs.
problem, is it's difficult to get in there, and particularly like in the wintertime when there's snow, we just kind of slap
I understand
something on the
that, but
outside, being able to write to it.
what do you plan on doing with those signs, since you can't change the light board more than every 12 hours? What are you gonna do in the case of all these extraneous signs that you have stuck in the ground and stuck on the sign and things like that? Will they go away forever?
The only, I'm not sure what you're talking about, extra signs. There is
You have your big sign,
the big sign, and then in front of it,
there's signage stuck to it.
sometimes we have an event that's going on, such as there may be a craft fair or something like that. And they may, on the outside of the glass, stick something which is there just for a few days.
So you
We
expect
would
that to
put that-
continue?
We would put that inside, make the font perhaps a little bit smaller for those few days, and then put information about,
Well, basically,
craft
you
fair or
use the message center and not use those anymore.
Right.
That's,
Quite the concept, but you don't see it happen a whole lot.
that
Yeah.
would be the idea, yes.
Yeah, because right now, there's a lot of stuff.
It's very busy.
Signed, times for different
Yes.
masses and so on, that you're just not going to be able to display, right?
No, that's understandable. I mean, Bill could probably speak more to that, but using a message center would mean that you plan out what you're going to do, knowing that you only can change it every 12 hours.
And then, right, and then you can change the size of the font too. The font might not necessarily be as big when we have another event going on that we want signage for.
Okay.
And you are in agreement that if we said that 12 midnight would be the maximum allowable hour for that sign to remain lit, you're okay with that?
Yeah.
So the neighbors would have less concern there, I think, this county. This is not the first sign, by the way, we've put in a residential area. I don't believe the New Hamburg Fire Company has one that is very busy. And we really need to get it stopped because it's got pictures and flashing and it's really crazy, so
Well, and
not a precedent.
was Croft Road in residential?
I think all of them are in residential, or most of them anyway.
Well,
The
Croft
one in
Road
New-
certainly
The one in
borders.
New Hamburg is in a residential area.
Yeah, it's a very busy
For the
sign.
fire company, yeah.
Total violation of our signage, but, so this would not be the first, just so we know.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Phyllis?
I have no questions.
Tony?
I wasn't on the board for those other issues, but what made you decide to go to this type of sign versus other than the inconvenience, those small amount of time that it's not as easily accessible during the winter? I'm just trying to relate to, I travel around a lot and I see many, and I'll just keep it to churches right now, but churches that have, very clearly understood EMD displays. And, I find them very easy to read. And I don't think that road is as heavily traveled as some of the other roads that I'm referring to, where I see, churches, synagogues that are displaying, not only the services that are coming up, but also events that are happening, and sometimes sharing, nice thoughts with the passerby. And I never really seem to be able to have a difficulty in taking that all in.
Do you mind if I just say one thing about, so the current sign is a 3x5 message center. This is going to be smaller, but in that's a pretty small area to get the message across. Okay, and I understand what you're saying. Usually, I'm assuming that those signs are probably a little bit bigger than what we're looking at here. I'm in the industry, so I kind of get it. And a lot of people are going the way of message centers. A lot of municipalities, have their restrictions on them, but a lot of churches, schools are going the way of electronic for the ability to change the message, the ability to have smaller fonts, like Bill was saying before, and get what you want to say across.
So even though you're going to be occupying less square footage, you're going to be able to have more information?
Yes, because when you have a changeable copy sign, a good portion of that is the actual tracking for each letter, each line of copy. So there's like a math thing you got to figure out, but there's probably there's multiple layers of track that utilize a lot of the square footage that you actually have.
I guess my curiosity is, it would have been really neat to see this rendering showing the same amount of information that this, track sign had, just to give me a better idea. I'm a visual kind of guy.
Right.
Is how that, I'm not saying it's not going to work, but, and I could see where a lighted sign may be more clear, but it really would have been neat to see your rendition showing all of that information that's normally on there with the various masses and things like that. The stuff that's on there almost every day. That would have been, for me, it would have been a little bit more appropriate to show us that, so we're comparing apples to apples instead of Sunday masses.
No, I understand. I understand, and I'm sure they're going to want to say more than what I put on there, but I would suggest they say less so that it's readable. Anyway, that would be my suggestion. I wouldn't suggest the amount of copy on there.
Okay. I have nothing else.
I understand what you mean.
Carmen?
Yes, I have some concern about the sign being lit until midnight. And, we have
some rules in the town about, businesses have to, it can be 10 o'clock, isn't it?
Or is it, oh, wait,
Or 11?
why is it 11 sticks in my head?
Is it 11?
Art, do you remember? Businesses have the,
Typically, I think it's 11, but it's typically once the business
I think it's
closes
11, yeah.
that they should
Yeah.
turn their.
Yeah. So, except for the times when say there's a midnight mass or some school event, is it going to be that difficult to program it? So, except for those times that you might want it up until midnight, other nights, it would only be until 11?
Yeah, we would be willing to accept something like 11 o'clock and then, but the ability to leave it on longer for events that are going later.
Right.
And yes, that would be programmable.
It would, I mean,
Yes.
you you could handle it, so.
Yes.
So 7 days a week, it isn't going to be until midnight.
But even turning the sign off, it's still, as far as that area is concerned, those street lights are still on all night, so it's
Right.
not going to dim the brightness very much in that area, that's for sure.
Yeah. And the amber is supposed to be an improvement over.
The amber is an improvement over red. It's a toned down version of red, basically.
Exactly.
Yes.
The sign in New Hamburg for the fire department is red. Really,
and that really is, it's,
really red.
yeah.
Well,
Part of the problem with that sign is that it's almost a glare.
It is. And
Because the red is so intense.
I wonder about, traffic, the glare. with that.
That's one thing about the manufacturer that we use, and we only use one manufacturer, and it's I'm not sure about the glare. If you say there's a glare, there's probably a piece of plastic over the face of it, and that's not good either. And this particular unit does not have that, and also the auto dimming is not throughout every manufacturer. So in that paperwork, the first page talks about the auto dimming, and the second page talks about the actual manufacturer following that lead.
Okay. Any other? Yeah, sure.
And this sign is going to be readable from both directions?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, if there are no other questions from the board, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the application at St. Martin de Porres? Well, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 3, Cheryl DeGroat, 4 Hampton Road.
Good evening.
Good evening. You'll just state your name into the microphone.
Sure. Hello, my name is Cheryl DeGroat,
Ms.
homeowner.
DeGroat, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please be advised that you are under oath, and any false statements made by you subject to perjury pursuant to the laws of the state of New York.
Understood.
Okay, what brings you here?
Okay, so my husband Thomas, who could not make it, and myself are seeking to have a 6-foot privacy fence installed on our home for Hampton Road. We have 2 young children and a dog, and our concern is safety and privacy. We are looking to have the 6-foot privacy fence installed to just encompass a little bit of the side yard and the back. It would be beige in color, so it would complement the house, which is also beige. And we're looking to do it, we have some shrubbery that's along Vassar Road. We're looking to place it behind the shrubbery, so to keep the appeal of the shrubs facing Vassar Road.
Okay, thank you. Christine?
You answered my questions.
Okay.
That's it.
I have no questions.
Art?
No question.
Okay. I think, let's just state into the record, you live on a corner.
Yes.
And that means that technically you have 2 front yards.
Right, yeah, I'm
Okay.
finding that out. I did not realize that in the beginning.
But for all practical purposes, the side of the house facing Hampton is the front of the house.
Yes.
Where the front door is, the garage, and so on.
Right.
Okay. And I gather from your drawing that you would like to install this fence basically from your rear lot line up to about halfway along the house?
Correct, yeah, we're looking to install from the rear of the home out to, towards Vassar Road, but to stop before the shrubbery, and then continue to the back of the property, then along that back wall, and then it would come flush with the house on the other side.
Okay. On the drawing that I have, it looks as if the fence on that right-hand side is not attached to the back corner of the house, but somewhere along the side.
That's correct, yeah, and I mean, if that's a problem, we can certainly do it from the back.
No, I just wanted to make sure.
We wanted to just do it probably just a little, maybe a quarter from the back, just to kind of get a little bit more property, extra space for the kids to play.
Okay. I was just making
that's
sure that
correct,
the
yeah.
fence was not going to extend all the length along Vassar Road.
No.
Okay, all right. Phyllis?
No questions.
Tony?
None?
Carmen?
Yes, in the material that you gave us,
Yes.
you have a first choice and a second choice?
I do. To be honest with you, I love the second choice, but it is more costly. My husband and I are on a budget, so, we're hoping for the first choice. If it's a deal breaker, we certainly care about the safety, and privacy of our children, so if we had to go with the second choice, we'll do it.
Well, just for the record, of course, I like the second choice, because that's all right.
I do too,
Had you considered a 4.5-foot fence?
No, I haven't, just because I feel that it wouldn't obtain the privacy and the safety we're looking for. My little guy, he's 2 and he's a climber. Not that I wouldn't be present when they're playing outside, but he climbs over baby gates, and it would be a concern of mine to not have that 6-foot height.
Well, one thing I think is certainly positive is that the evergreens will be between, in front of the fence.
Exactly.
When you're looking at it from Vassar Road.
Yeah, we wanted to keep the charm of the shrubbery. We think that it's very nice, so, we don't intend to cover that up whatsoever.
Right. Do you have any plans for the front
As far as the front of the home?
with any shrubbery or anything?
I don't know. I mean, yeah, definitely, we're considering it. We literally just moved in last month, so it's a work in progress, but
Okay.
yeah.
So there's a big difference in price between number 1 and number 2.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Yeah. That's why people like number 2.
Carmen,
I don't disagree with you, but.
Carmen's question reminded me, in the back, there are at least a couple, look like, ornamental trees of some kind?
There are, yes, there are a few.
You're going to save those?
Yeah, oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
good,
Yeah.
okay. All right, any other questions? If not, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address the application at 4 Hampton Road? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, recusals? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, those are the 3 items. Proceed, or,
Why are you looking at me?
because,
Yes.
okay, all right, away we go, all right.
Can we take the young lady first? Oh, they're all here. Oh, forget
Yeah.
it, sorry.
Yeah.
I tried.
Okay, item 1, McDonald's. And I am not going to try to rehearse all of the separate variances that our council has sorted out, so I guess for this sake of discussion, the proposal for the wall sign. How do people feel about that?
The main entrance sign?
The wall signs, so,
Oh, all of them?
That's what.
yeah, so there are basically four of them. One on the west side, two on the north, one on the east, and none on the south.
They've agreed to give one up, right?
If
The one
we
facing
require
Home
it.
Depot.
Yeah,
Right.
The one at the back.
Right, the one facing Applebee's.
Oh, which one?
It is a very difficult building to see from the road. We all, I think, agree on that. So I'm good with the signs.
yeah, I mean, for the sake of argument, I actually kind of like the proposal. I mean, if this were a brand-new building and they were coming in, they would be entitled to a sign of 100 square feet on the front of the building, or facing Route 9. Again, the code here in terms of front, rear, and whatever seems to me doesn't really apply to this situation, but whatever. Okay, and so what I like about the proposal is that they have essentially taken less than that 100 square feet of wall sign and distributed it into places that seem to me make some sense. Okay, so that's where I would end up on this one. So, arguments?
Doesn't appear so.
I would rather have it be the way it's been presented, because at least it's somewhat balanced, as
Right.
opposed to who knows what it would look like if they futzed with it and made some signs bigger than others. I'm confused, though, about all of the directional signs, and if there's something,
I'm not sure if you're.
if there's something that we can do with some of those entrance signs.
Okay, so, yeah, that's where I want to go next. So are we pretty good with the wall sign proposal?
Yes.
Good with it.
Okay.
We've
Now, all
eliminated
right.
one.
Now let's turn to the directional signs. Okay, Phyllis, go.
Is it possible to shrink them down? I mean,
They've agreed to.
Yeah, to 4.5.
They're gonna.
And there's
they
no
can
way to
bring them
make-
down to 4.5, you said.
and can they make that at 4.5 and still keep the McDonald's logo, or are they gonna lose that part of it?
It sounded like the
Lose the logo.
They lose the
logo would,
logo.
Yeah,
the logo would go.
But it didn't, yeah, we can't, it's closed.
Yeah.
But,
It didn't sound like that, well, it didn't sound like that logo was that critical because you're going to have McDonald's across the
mean-
back of the building now.
the logo's on the buildings.
Right.
okay,
So I'm thinking that in order to get the sign the size they want, they could probably not have the M or the arches, whichever you want to call it.
So by doing that, they, like Jim, you said before, they split the.
They're splitting the difference with us.
Between 3 and 6 feet, and they're 4.5 feet.
Yeah.
Just lose the golden arch on the logo on the sign.
Yeah, but the arch is right there on the side of the,
Exactly, no, I'm saying, so.
Yeah.
Seems like a reasonable compromise.
okay. So the other hot button for the county were the two order here signs.
I'm happy to know that there's a secret safety reason for the order here signs.
Really?
Well, yeah, he testified that it has to do with the height of vehicles.
Oh.
Today, there's a lot of big pickups out there with
A lot of tall
big
stuff
high
out there.
tires.
And RVs, as you.
And well, I don't take my RV through, drive through, but
Okay.
he makes me walk.
You know, that's not we were out there. That's not a real big piece of property. So without that second sign, I think it's gonna be a little confusing swinging around that side of the building and figuring out, oh gosh, where do I go now before, you get there?
Well, isn't the dual order things fairly new? I mean, won't that be?
Yeah, that, yeah.
I believe there's one order here now that's being replaced and a new one.
And
is
then the
coming
new one,
because
right,
they're
but
splitting
people are
it.
not accustomed to
Right.
being able to
Right.
split that, yeah.
Right.
I think I'd rather err on the side of caution and allow order
Right.
here.
Instead of have
It's gonna
accident.
it's gonna be a little challenging in the beginning for those who use it. And I think anything that'll help expedite the traffic and make it safer. And I don't think order here is gonna be a distraction.
And again, you cannot see it from Route 9.
Yeah, it's not an issue for that, it's just once you enter
Right,
the,
it's all for the safety of the
once you enter the
area.
Disneyland maze, you
Right.
know, you have to know
Where do
where
I
to
go
go.
now, right?
Okay, so we're going to limit the entry signs, but everything else seems to be
I'm good with the rest, Jim.
okay. All right, I've drafted some findings for our resolution, and let me read these out, and I urge you, correct me, add comments, whatever, this, because I just did this late this afternoon. Okay, so findings. The board finds, one, the present location of this McDonald's has several unusual features that are relevant to the request for additional signage and directional signs. And I need to correct that. It's not additional, it's different signage. Okay. Okay, different signage and directional signs. Because of a raised berm, a decorative stone wall, and plantings, the McDonald's building is difficult to see from Route 9. A large sign granted by right on the, quote, front, unquote, of this building would serve little purpose. For all practical purposes, the main side of the building is the rear, facing the shopping center's main service road. This service road runs along a large parking area beyond which there are several big box stores. Because virtually all of the proposed signage will be visible only from inside this large retail plaza, the board finds that the proposed variances will have no undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or serve as a detriment to nearby properties. Two, the applicant is proposing to divide the total wall signage 100 square feet and place it on the two sides of the building, north and east, where they can best serve their purpose of identifying this McDonald's. Thus, the board finds that it would be impossible to achieve this benefit without a variance. Concerning the directional signs, the board finds that the present service road presents several challenges to drivers trying to find their way. Speed bumps, stop signs, and many unmarked entrances and exits. Having clear and easily visible directional signs is essential to finding the entrances and the drive-through facilities at this McDonald's. The board thus finds that, short of reconfiguring the entire site plan, there are no feasible alternatives. Three, the board finds that the proposed changes are not substantial. The total wall signage will be less than what would be granted by right on the front of the building. The board further finds that although there will be an increase in the number of signs, the directional signs are not substantial in the context of the existing service or existing shopping plaza. Four, the board finds that the changes proposed in this application will have no adverse effect on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood, and the board notes that the planning board has already issued a negative declaration after its seeker review. Five, the board finds that the alleged difficulties are self-created, but this does not preclude granting the variances. Taken together, the board finds that the benefits to the applicant outweigh any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Any?
Well, that almost makes it sound like there is some detriment to the health, safety, and welfare. Read that last one.
Yeah, okay. Taken together, the board finds that the benefits to the applicant outweigh any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. I think what I'm kind of hinting at, referring to, is the argument from the county that there's a lot of signs, and that if there's a detriment, it would be considered in the kind of visual clutter. On the other hand, you know, I think the benefit to the applicant is clear. I mean, I was actually kind of surprised to be told that 70% of the business is drive-through. I mean, that's a lot of people, and to me, that means you really do have to have.
That's 150 cars an hour, he testified.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cars.
So you have to have signs so that people, whether they're longtime customers or first time there, know what they're doing, or you're gonna have chaos.
Well, I think that I have to assume that a big percentage of that is college students, so you really need to put up signage.
Yeah.
And to number 2, could we add that the applicant agreed to bring the directional signs down to 4.5?
Yes. Yes, that, we should add that. Okay, any further discussion? Comments we want to add?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm assuming that these findings will serve as the report to the county? Okay.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, there are really a lot of signs, and normally I would object to it, but it's the topography there too, where the restaurant is located.
It's an unusual
That-
circumstance.
Yeah, there are several things about the way that whole plaza is laid out. And I must tell you, when I go there, I find driving along that service road
It's crazy.
annoying.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, not
Dangerous.
only, there's the speed bumps, and then every once in a while, there's a stop sign. Why, I don't know, but it's there. And then there are people coming in and out of all these unmarked things. I mean, it's really,
It's crazy.
okay. I don't get me on this soapbox about designing shopping plazas, because I think there's a lot of, well, never
Got a
mind.
new
Okay,
career coming.
done. All right, if there are no further comments, would you make the motion, Christine?
Sure. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 1. This decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, results of site visits by board members, and the chair's findings. In approving this variance, the board adopts as findings the determinations set forth by the chair.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. There's no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, the motion, variances are granted. Item number 2, St. Martin de Porres. Where's my stuff? What did I do with it? Did you take it? Huh, Christine?
Right
No,
here.
I didn't take it. Here's mine.
Okay. Oh, I've got them all clipped together. Oh, excuse me. There we go. Here's item number 2. 118 Cedar Valley Road, a variance to allow an electronic message display where such signs in all residential districts are prohibited. There is, this is the unlisted action, so for purposes of review of item number 2, I move that the ZBA declare itself lead agent.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? I further move that the ZBA, based on materials in an EAF short form, finds that the action proposed in item number 2 will have no significant impact on the environment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, so we've done the environmental. We had 2 communications, one from the county and one from Doreen Tignelli. Okay, discussion. How do we feel about this?
As long as they fulfill their commitment to turn this thing off, meet the 12-hour guideline, have no flashing of any type, okay with it.
I think the information that the gentleman from Glody brought in about the lights, I mean, the lights of the sign versus the street lights and the effect and all, I think was a lot more enlightening. No pun intended. So, I think that made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I was surprised at the numbers. I knew the existing sign, with conventional lights is fairly bright, but I had completely not thought about the street lights.
And I think the amber lighting will be much nicer than the bright red.
Yes, yes.
I can relate because we have that old-fashioned kind of sign at my local firehouse. It hurts my fingers when I have to take something off or put it on. It's crazy. It looks easy, but it is anything but, and it's very time-consuming.
Okay.
I kind of hate to see us go that way with the electronic signs, but, some of the non-electronic signs are not attractive either,
Right.
when you see them.
And I'll have to be honest with you, the sign that's there now is
Pretty nasty.
No,
is not
not pretty.
not pretty. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, it isn't, and, as Art was saying, if they really adhere to this, limit on the time,
Okay.
of 11 o'clock, yeah.
Okay. I've written up some findings, mostly because we have to, respond to the county, and so again, add things or change things, but. The board finds, one, the proposed sign will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. Although zoned residential, R20, this section of Cedar Valley Road on both sides is, except for the church, unoccupied. It is bordered on one side by a steep rock outcrop and on the other by a large wetland. To the north, the distance from the sign to the nearest residence is over 500 feet. As the crow flies. To the south, the nearest residence is over 800 feet away. And I took this off Google Maps. Except for the church, there are no residences for over a quarter mile along Cedar Valley Road. While an EMD sign may be disruptive in a residential area of closely spaced houses located close to the street, the board finds that this is not the case for the proposed sign. Because of these distances, and because the applicant has agreed to dim the sign in the evenings and during the winter, the board finds that the sign will not be a detriment to nearby properties. 2, the only alternative to the proposed sign is the current sign, which is illuminated with conventional lights and which is larger than the proposed sign. The current sign is very difficult to read from a moving vehicle. The current sign can only be changed by replacing the letters by hand, which can be very difficult to do in winter. 3, the requested variance is substantial since EMD signs are prohibited in residential areas. The board finds, however, that this is mitigated by the proposed sign's location in an area without any residential structures and by the smaller size of the proposed sign, 19 square feet, compared to the 23.3 square feet for the current sign. 4, the proposed sign will not have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. The proposed sign is smaller, easier to read for traffic safety, and will use less energy than the current sign. 5, the alleged difficulty is self-created, but this does not preclude granting the variance. For these reasons, the board finds that in this proposal, the benefit to the applicant outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood. Okay, any do we want to put in here or as a condition that the sign under normal circumstances or without special events be turned off at,
We said
What?
11, isn't it?
was it 11 o'clock?
I think we agreed on 11 unless it was like midnight mass or
Yeah.
something.
Okay, so we should add that probably as a condition.
Did you want to add that it not change more than 12 hours? Is that part of the law?
Part of the law.
It is part of the law,
Part of
but
the
they testified that they probably wouldn't change it more than a couple times a month.
Well, things change,
Yeah.
as we know.
I mean, well,
It's in the
well,
code.
I suppose just to be sure, we could add as a condition that this sign obey all of the restrictions on EMD signs that are in the code.
Fine.
And that would be how many times it changes and all of that.
Right.
I think that's probably the easiest way to do it, right?
And did you want to say anything about the point Art raised with the flyers that had been attached to the prior signage?
Yeah,
need to-
no stickies stuck on the sign other than the sign. That's it.
Well, yeah, that's part of the reason why this is going to be more effective, because they said that they wouldn't need to do that any longer.
Okay, so what, there would be no
Extra signage,
further attachments to the sign or something like that? No extra signage?
because it's, yeah, I think you're right.
Seems to make sense. Okay, so Betty, you want to do the motion?
Sure, I make a motion that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item number 2. This decision is based on a review of the application, the testimony of the applicant, testimony offered at the public hearings, and the result of site visits by board members. I ask that the board use the findings as noted by the chairman.
Second.
Okay. And then, add the conditions?
And add the conditions.
And the
Okay.
conditions are that the sign obey all restrictions on EMD signs, that the sign be turned off by 11 PM unless there is a special event, and that no additional signage be attached or affixed to the existing EMD sign.
Okay, Son.
Second that too.
Sounds good.
That was
Okay.
Betty as a motion and Art as the second?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Kuzels? Okay. Approved. Item number 3, Cheryl DeGroat, 4 Hampton Road, a variance to allow the installation of a 6-foot fence in the front yard where fences of only 3.5 feet are allowed. It's a type 2 action, so there's no further environmental consideration we need to do. Okay, discussion?
No,
Pretty straightforward.
I think,
Okey dokey.
yeah, I think that it works just fine. Okay, the findings of the board are as follows. The board finds that the proposed fence will not produce any undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be a detriment to nearby properties. The board notes that there are a number of 6-foot fences along Vassar Road now, and the board further notes that the house in question, or the property in question, is a corner property, and that the fence will be erected in the so-called front yard that is actually not the main, not the front of the house, and that the fence will be located only along a portion of the Vassar Road frontage. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method feasible for the applicant, the board finds that given the configuration of the lot and the desire for a fence for privacy and safety, there really are no other alternatives. 3, whether the area variance is substantial. The request is substantial in the sense that it's for a 6-foot fence. This is mitigated in large part by locating the fence behind a row of shrubs, and further by limiting the extent to which it runs along the lot line parallel to Vassar Road. Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical and environmental conditions in the neighborhood, the board finds that the fence will have minimal physical effect. 5, the board finds that the alleged difficulty is self-created in the sense that the applicant wishes to add a fence where there is no fence now, but this does not preclude the granting of the variance. Okay, if any comments or changes to those findings? If not, Art, do you want to do the motion?
Sure. I move that the board approve the request for an area variance set forth in item 3.
3.
Decision is based on a review of the application, testimony of the applicant, testimony offered in the public hearing, results of site visits by board members, and the chairman's findings. In approving this variance, the board adopts as findings determinations found in item 1 through 5 of the chairman's findings.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve item number 3 has been made and seconded. There's no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals? Okay, the variance is granted.
Build it.
Yeah. This brings us to the end of the agenda. If there's nothing more before us, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Recusals?
Okay.
We are adjourned.